Toddcast.
You good to go? You chilling? You got your drinks?
Yeah, I got my drinks. I ran out of liquid death. It will be here on Monday.
Ooh. Do you what's your favorite one?
So I like the lime, but I want to try it with like vodka or like margaritas.
Oh, dude. You are right on with it because I as soon as I got them, I opened it up and I was like, I took a sip and I was like, you know what? This would be really good with some tequila or something.
Yeah, I work at Planet Fitness and I gave a little to my boss and he gave me the idea to put vodka or like margaritas in it.
Ooh, so good. So dangerous though.
I
Oh,
know.
dude. I the other day, what day was it? I don't even know what brand it was, but basically it was like, you can get the margaritas in a can and it comes in like a 6 pack or something like that.
Yeah, like they also make like wine spritzers that are kind of like that, but they're a
Yeah.
little too sweet.
Yeah. And so we got a pack, like a 6 pack of those. And I mean, I'm a huge beer guy, so I got some beers and stuff like that, but I wanted to try two of the flavors. So I cracked one. I was like, oh, cool. This is pretty good. I forget exactly what it was. One was just straight up regular margarita, and the other one was, I don't know, tequila and something. But I checked it, and the percent was good. And then I had the second one a little bit later, and out of nowhere, I was like, damn, why am I like pretty drunk right now? I'm not feeling good. And I checked the can, and it was 12.5%.
Holy shit, like most of those are like 10%.
Dude, the next day I was not feeling that great, but like, oh, have you ever had like tequila or any sort of like liquor where the next day your your burps almost taste like tequila or something? Dude, it was the fucking worst. I hated it so much.
Yeah, no, like that probably would make me want to vomit.
Yeah, dude. I luckily I wasn't too hungover to where it would. I wouldn't even really consider it an actual hangover. It was maybe just lack of sleep. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was not good. So yeah, I got some liquid death right here. But yeah, I think I like that mango one.
Yeah, I mean out of all three of them, I think kind of the weakest is the berry.
That is the one that I put less in the fridge. I still drink it, but I don't know, maybe I need to throw some vodka in it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean seltzer water with alcohol is always better.
It is. Yeah, right. Well, shit, man. How you been?
I've been good. I mean, life has been better than it has been.
That's good.
Um, it's been about a year and a half since the house fire.
So I was going around on your Instagram and stuff like that, and I went to your link tree and I saw a little bit of that article. It kept wanting me to like pay for a subscription, so I couldn't really like go too far without like something popping up. But I saw about that. I mean,
Yeah.
fill me in a little
So,
bit. Yeah, because I mean, I'm glad you guys are okay, but
I mean, basically, I agreed to do like an interview with like a timber company. They're a nonprofit called Douglas Timber Operators. He helped us out like when the fire first happened
mhm.
because like basically when the fire happened there was only 15 minutes to get everything. So my mom grabbed my laptop, my hard drive, camera, and tripod,
Damn.
and the clothes on my back. So like the first 2 weeks, I kind of went into like survivor mode and got a bunch of like donations, PayPal and stuff. I was able to get like 10 grand in the first 2 weeks.
Oh wow, it's impressive.
But how it came about is he wanted to do this full story about the RG Creek fire, and my section is just a little piece to this big 45-page spread that he did with the local
Oh
newspaper.
damn.
But it kind of documents the history of the North Umpqua, what it means to everybody, getting eyewitness from like the sheriffs the day of the fire,
Hmm.
the aftermath, everything that kind of was going with it. But that little section is mainly about the story, how like through the ashes I kind of like came above and kind of hyper focused on like my photography and showing off what all these waterfalls up the North Umpqua basically what they look like before the fire, and
Mm.
like kind of documenting like my progress.
Yeah. Damn. Real quick, where is this location that you're talking about? Like, I don't know. I'm not familiar.
So this is in like a small place in Oregon called
Okay.
Idlewild Park.
Okay.
I lived next to a motel. My house used to be called the Frontier Store, and basically they made it into a house later on in life. But everybody remembers it as like a store that they used to stop at for gas and like get snacks, toys for the
Yeah.
kids, all that stuff.
Damn. Well, like I said, I'm glad y'all are okay. I know there's a lot of, more than you could probably imagine going on with all of that stuff. But glad that you had your computer and your camera, and I mean your life, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
I
still,
have like 5 years of photography that got saved, and then
that's good.
I went out and bought like an 8 terabyte external drive, and I double back up all my stuff.
Yeah, I'm terrible at double backing up. It's just like I have so many hard drives that I just I need to go like do what you just did. Like I need to go buy, an 8, 12, 16 terabyte hard drive and just like start using that as just like okay, back up instead of just like all right, time to buy a new 1, 2, 4 terabyte hard drive.
Well, so like the drives that I buy are the lacy
Oh yeah.
ones,
Mhm.
which those are, knock on wood, really good hard drives.
The Lacy Ruggeds or all over, I mean
Um,
different kinds.
so I have a dump drive where I kind of work with everything on a 2 terabyte,
Okay.
and then my stationary 8 terabyte just sits on my desk.
Okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love Lacy. Lacy hard drives are like my go-to hard drives, especially the rugged ones from, touring and stuff. Like, dude, there's been so many times where I've either straight on like dropped it, or I mean, I remember there was one day where the on the bus the tables were taken, so I had to edit, just with a computer on my lap, and like the the external hard drive kind of just like plugged in, but like leaning off and like hanging onto my side. And I remember I had a drink of whiskey, like a shot or a double shot or something in a cup, and I spilt straight onto my hard drive. And like, if you're from, are you familiar with the Lacy drives? I mean the rugged ones.
Yeah, I mean, like they're pretty much indestructible.
So like they have that little orange like rubber coat like cover on the outside, but there's like a little kind of a lip. So almost there's like a pool of whiskey on top of my hard drive. And I was like, I had to like slurp it off because if I opened it, if I took off the cover, I knew it was just gonna like seep down and go into like I don't know the USB port, the cable area. I was like, dude, but it was fine, thank goodness.
Well, that's good. I mean, like you've always really impressed me with your work.
Well,
Like
thank you.
you've
Likewise.
done so many. I mean, I'm kind of envious. Like you toured with some of the best bands that like I would dream of touring with.
Well, I mean, are you? Well, by the way, thank you. I appreciate that, and your work is stellar as well. And I'm sure we'll talk about it as we keep going. But I mean, are you still trying to tour? Like, what's your kind of, you know, what the route you're trying to take?
Uh, Currently, I'm just trying to push out content, like kind of stay relevant. So I'm kind of
Okay.
on like a publication right now.
Oh, cool.
And how it works, we use Airtable, and basically we figure out which dates that we actually want to do. My editor puts it in, then I have to wait for the publicist. A lot of times I don't get the go ahead until like the day of the show.
Oh, wow.
Like what was it? Now it's like 3 weeks ago. Like I didn't get the okay to shoot under oath until like the day of the show. And then I had to
Shit.
drive 3 hours to Portland, shoot a show, like um be there for like 4 or 5 hours, and then drive back home, and then have to work the next day.
Damn. Well, I mean, hey, when you when you do something you love, sometimes I know, I mean, you could love something like crazy, but sometimes you're like, fuck, this sucks. I don't want to do this shit. But I mean, most of the time it's like, hell yeah, let's go. I mean, the working the next day part kind of blows, but I mean, now you have, I mean, you had a great time at the show. You took photos, and now you also have the pleasure of like spending hours later after work editing all the photos.
Well, so usually my usual turnaround is going to be like 2 to 3 days, which that's pretty fast for me,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
because
that's pretty good.
by the time I get home and everything, I just want to go to bed. And
Oh
then
yeah.
I usually sit on my images for like a couple days, and then I edit them. I gotta be better with kind of like posting content, because I just want to do a full dump of it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to wait.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I mean, so when you do with your through the publication and stuff like that, like, I just see you did those kind of GIF things for, the Under Oath stuff. One was, I think, Warp Tour, but I saw you post the one of Spencer. When you post photos and stuff like that with the publication, or since you went through the publication, sorry, do you have to like wait for approval to post things, or is it kind of like as soon as you kind of edit and finish, you can post?
uh Technically there's a rule where like I have to wait for the publication, but I kind of bend it because I just want to post it as fast as I can.
Right? Yeah, especially on like well, a touring band. Basically the next show, there's gonna be another, full photo pit of people, and basically it's just a kind of like a race to get your photos out there before it gets lost, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like for instance, like because I just started shooting shows at the beginning of the year because we had the pandemic and I
Mhm.
wasn't getting a lot of shows because nobody was really touring at that time. So getting back into it, I've been going to shows in a post-COVID world, and I've been seeing not as many photographers in the photo pit,
Really?
but as it's starting to like pick up again, the Under Oath show, there was about 10 photographers in that photo pit. It is kind of crazy.
Huh. I wonder if do you think I'm just trying to think about, because I haven't been to a show since I think my last tour. So it's been a while. And, with the fall off, and for an example, like when the pandemic started, everyone and their mom and dad and grandparents started a podcast, like,
Yeah, I know.
but hey, luckily I started it right before. So I'm not in that bubble. But anyways, um, it popped up. A bunch of podcasts started popping up because, everyone's got all the time in the world. But now that, it's kind of everything's opening up a bit, shows are back, but, like you can kind of see them drop off. But then you kind of have the weird shift of where these huge drop off of, people that started because of COVID. Now there's new ones starting in because they see that there's like more slots open, I guess. I don't know. I mean, there's less photographers, but in turn, there's more that are coming out from the shadows that maybe have only done local shows for, a comped ticket. But now they see that, not so many people that normally are shooting shows are there. They're like, okay, cool. Maybe I have a slot now at these bigger concerts. I don't know. That was such a weird, long way to go about it. Hopefully that
It's
made
hard
sense.
for me, like, because there are photogs and there's photographers, and
Okay.
there's a very fine line, and it because of the internet, it's kind of boomed where, I mean, everybody who has a cell phone is a photographer,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Oh yeah, and it's only gonna get worse too because phones are getting crazy. iPads, all that shit.
But I mean, like, I'm really good at like my photography because I'll scroll through like Instagram and I'll look at people's photos that they're posting.
Mm-hmm.
And because I took like photography in college, I know the basics and stuff. I see a lot of people shifting into it and not really knowing the ropes yet and knowing what they're doing. So you have high ISO, overexposed, underexposed,
Mm-hmm.
and like I have a photographic mind, so like when I'm thinking and like looking at these posts and these images, I'm like, okay, that's wrong. This is wrong. That's wrong.
I mean,
So
I get
it kind of drives me nuts sometimes.
I can I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. Like when you're saying things look right or wrong, or you can pinpoint certain things. That's coming from a sense of went to school for it and you learned, by the book of certain things that are proper and, here's ISO that you need to do or how you want to set up for this kind of show if it's darker, to make the best of it. But also I feel like in a way it's kind of there's been times where I've boosted not saturation, sorry, boosted my ISO just a little bit. And I mean, I'll fucking go crazy on my shutter speed. For like an example, if it's like a well lit show, dude, sometimes I'll bump my ISO pretty crazy. And actually, to be honest with you, most of the time my ISO is at auto. You know, I let that thing
Yeah.
kind of do its own, but I'll like crank that ISO sometimes, and then I'll have like a shutter speed of like I don't know, wicked fast, like wicked, like so fast that I could probably shoot NASCAR with it, and then have a low f stop. So like there's certain
Yeah.
things I feel like in a way it's kind of subjective of like art is such a fine line between like oh that's wrong or like too the ISO is too bright, you're clipping, but also it's like I've had some great photos where everything has been wrong with the photo and half their face is blown out and blurry and then it kind of
But
turns
it
into an art piece. But
works.
it works. So I
Yeah.
I understand both of what you were saying because it's like you can look at photos and be like what is going on with that photo? Sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And it's like trying to like make sure that you're not looking at everything too harshly with like a background of this is how you need to set your camera up versus like just some art shit.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, like that's why I don't dive too deep into it because it kind of make you go crazy after a while if you just
Oh yeah.
criticized everything and was like, no, but you're right. Art is subjective in a way that like it really depends on the person and like how you feel if the image moves you.
Oh yeah.
Like one thing with like my concert photography and also with my nature photography is when I take pictures, you get emotion through the image like you were there at that place, and like that's what a good photographer really can capture and internalize in their work.
Oh yeah. I totally agree. Even with I mean we can go obviously with, music for example, if you capture a moment, you know, great. Amazing photo, you did what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you just have the standard photo of this photo is nothing but just cool. Like I
Yeah.
look at that, you know what I mean? It's like that I can look at that photo and be like, that's a cool photo. Or there's a photo maybe 10 seconds later in the song that you capture where you're like, holy shit, like that actually, one, it's cool, but also you can tell expression, and that's what I'm feeling right now. And you can dive deep. It's a little bit more understandable when you see that with music photos and a lot of other things. But like, for example, and something that I have experience in as well is, going to these locations and, seeing these waterfalls and doing your long exposures and, tweaking so many different things and standing in one place for like 30 minutes. I mean, obviously there's different ranges, but 30 minutes or something, and like a photo doesn't work of a waterfall, but like you keep going, keep finding like the sweet spot and all these different things. You can definitely find that emotion in certain photos of, I mean, as easy as something of a waterfall, something that not everyone will just see in the light that you were seeing it. You know, Sometimes they might just walk right past it and be like, "Oh, cool, waterfall, selfie. All right, peace." You know?
Yeah, so like that's a common thing, like because I live on the North Umpqua, so like all my waterfall pictures are
Hmm.
within like an hour to like half an hour range of where I live.
That's awesome.
And a lot of times in the summertime we get a lot of tourists and stuff, but like it's kind of a cliche, but I see a lot of people, they sit at a waterfall for 5 minutes, take their picture, and then walk away. And I'll sit in a riverbed with my tripod and stay there for like a half an hour to like 3 hours.
Oh,
Eh,
dude,
yeah.
easily, easily. I mean, it's so crazy. I can definitely, rarely do you, well, maybe not rarely, rarely might be too strong of a word, but I'll use it anyways. Rarely do you get that waterfall shot, or, I mean, anything long exposure. Usually you don't nail it first try. Usually you're there for, I don't know. I mean, I've been at spots for, I mean, midday to I had to leave because the sun was gone.
Wow.
And I got, you get the cool shot, or maybe it didn't work exactly how it did, and you maybe shift your angle, you know, a foot and a half to the left and back a little bit and zoom in, and you just change the entire look of the water, the cliff, whatever it might be. It's pretty crazy because, that little shift back, forth, inches down or up, angles, it changes everything. And I think that can go into, the emotion you can capture with, I mean, like we're talking about waterfalls, it's pretty
Yeah.
insane.
I mean, also on the contrary, like, so for instance, with concert photography, it's
Hmm.
a totally different set of rules. So my process when I go to a show, I shoot about 2,000 images.
Okay.
There's about 3 to 4 bands, and at most, I probably process 15 to 20 good images.
100%. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm around that area too. There's not
And
usually a big haul after.
yeah, and like, so the thing is, like, so I shoot in manual, I don't do
Oh, yeah.
autofocus, and I make it super super hard for me at shows. So every time I get a show, I'm like thinking in my head, "Oh shit, am I actually going to get good images or is it going to be crap?"
Yeah. Damn.
But because I set those rules for myself every time I go and I have a passion for it, what
Mhm.
ends up happening is I always end up with good shots because I force myself into like kind of holding myself to a high degree, high standard.
Okay. So yeah, when you're there, you're like, I mean, okay, I feel like everyone should shoot on manual. I mean, I can understand a debate for shutter or aperture priority, but like full manual is the way to go, especially when you're dealing with such crazy ass conditions and you want to be in control of everything. That's another way to make it harder on yourself. But I can understand how you're doing that because it's like you're there. All right, how I got myself into a situation. how am I going to get myself out of this and still have something like a product that I'm happy with? And some days you'll have 15 photos, some days you might just have one, and you might not even post it on Instagram. So like that's something in the moment you're like either happy with all the photos you've got, or you're pretty bummed out for, a couple days to a week or until your next show. But going into the next show, you're like, okay, cool. This is what happened then. This is why these photos either worked out or didn't work out, and you can apply it to the next show.
Yeah. And like, so what I've learned is like over time, like the more shows I shoot, the better my eye gets, and like the more seasoned I
Yeah. Oh
get
yeah.
as a photographer. The best thing I can say to people is practice, practice, practice.
Oh, 100%. Is there, you said manual focus, yeah?
Yes.
So I will say, mad respect, because I do, one of my lenses that I usually bring on the road with me is a, what is it? Zeiss Milvis. I think it's a 35. Yeah, 35 f.2, and it's manual focus only. And I gotta say, I mean, I don't use it a lot. I do like it for video as well, but just because like the bokeh and the way everything looks, the color profile within the lens is pretty decent and sick. But it is one of those challenging things of, I mean, people are moving around. I know it depends. I mean, if you're shooting like Spencer from Under Oath with a manual focus lens, props, like, or if you're shooting another band that just stands in place, like still props, but not
So
yeah.
what was it? Like December I shot Guar, and
Mm-hmm.
Napalm Death opened for Guar, and like that guy, like he couldn't sit still. You had to chase him around the stage, and like just I got him like in a dead stare, the shot I wanted, like him just coming up to the camera and just looking directly in it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the moments that you can't, like, it's a once in a lifetime thing. You either get the shot or you don't.
Mm-hmm. Did you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, I feel you. And I think what's cool about the manual focus, especially with, I mean, what's the lens that you're using?
So
Or primarily?
I have a Canon M3 mirrorless. I've used
Oh,
it
cool.
for about 6 years. It wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years into it, I bought a prime lens. So I'm
Okay.
working with like a 32 millimeter that equates to 55 millimeter.
Oh, is it okay, crop. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the lowest f-stop on it is like 1.4.
Nice.
So
Okay.
in low light situations, I leave it at the widest aperture
Mm-hmm.
so I can get the most light. And depending on the light, I try not to go past ISO 800 or
Okay.
my images start to get grain.
Yeah. Okay. And then when you go down really low on that f-stop, like wide open, it definitely makes it a little bit trickier on manual focus because you, I mean, if you want to focus on someone's eyes, you for sure could end up with a photo of like the tip of their nose being in focus. Like it's pretty fickle. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, like I said, it's like catching lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, because the chances of you actually getting your shots are kind of like one in a million. But if you figure out how to construct your shots
Mm-hmm.
and you cover the basics, but on top of that, start working with like depth of field and like spacing and where people are, you can kind of like use those tools to kind of like get where you want with your shots.
Of course. And then especially learning your lenses and knowing your lenses, if you have your hand and your, thumb or pointer finger, whatever, how many, dude, you could use your whole entire hand to focus. I don't care. But having it and knowing like, okay, cool. This is where I was. He was 5 feet away from me. And that photo was pretty good in focus. And now he's moving, you can kind of like have your hands in a certain spot where you can just barely move your fingers and you're going to be focusing within, you know, half a foot to a foot and like just dial it in. And it kind of goes to what you were saying is just practice, practice, practice and
Uh,
try. And I mean, it'd be easier to do it with just autofocus, but like testing yourself and, you know, getting to know your lens better, I guess. It definitely goes a long way.
yeah, and like, I mean, there's no right or wrong way for a photographer to get their images. Like, I mean, that's the thing I always like listening to other people, other photographers, and trying to figure out how they construct their images because you'll talk to people and no two photographers are going to shoot the same.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No. And that's I mean, that's the beautiful thing about well, I just art in general, you know, photography being a part of that is that I mean, yes, there's people out there that just want to copy just to, you know, have their work out there and you know, maybe it's popular and stuff. But that's why it's so cool because I mean, from painting to, you know, video work to, you know, photography, it's like you could have someone in the same room taking say a photo of the same object and they're both going to have some, you know, slight differences, no matter how close you try and get it. I mean, unless you're on like a tripod and you just switch cameras and shit like that. But I don't know. It's pretty impressive. And especially when you add manual focus into it. Yeah, you're never going to get the same photo twice.
And I mean, it's crazy. Like, I just started this journey like 6 years ago, and I've shot like bands that I grew up listening to, and like I started out just cold calling publicists, emailing them, trying to get photo passes, and like that's kind of how it led to me getting more shows.
That's awesome. Do you, I mean, is there a band? I'm sure there is. Like, top of the list, you want to photograph them like one day. I mean, whether it's this year or I don't know, dude, you're like 80 years old and you're like, fuck, I got to photograph this
Okay, so I have
band.
two in mind, and I have a couple opportunities to shoot both of them this year.
Well, shit. Hell yeah.
So one would be Deftones,
Ooh.
two would be Rise Against.
Okay. Damn.
And so with my publication, my editor just sent out a request to shoot them at the Deftones at the Moda Center next month.
That's sick. I love Deftones. Hell yeah.
So, like, plus, I also want to take pictures of Gojira. Like, that band is crazy.
Do you know Bryce Hall?
No, it doesn't sound familiar.
Bryce has toured with Gojira. You should definitely check him out. I wouldn't be surprised if you already follow him and you might just don't even know it yet. But yeah, you should definitely check him out. He's toured with them. He's got some
Okay.
incredible work. I've had him on the podcast a few times. But yeah, I've seen his photos with Gojira and it's fucking insane. I think I had another buddy that was when I was with Nothing More, one of our guys, our lighting guy, I believe, he was also doing lights for Gojira too. And I still haven't seen him live, but I've heard that their show is insane.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm kind of like a tastemaker. So I was like really bummed and down and out that Every Time I Die broke up before the Under Oath tour because
Oh,
they
okay.
were supposed to open up for Under Oath.
Oh, I didn't know that. All I saw was like scrolling on Facebook or something that they disbanded, and I was like, oh, to be honest, I never really listened to them. I don't know why, maybe just not my cup of tea. But yeah, that's a bummer that
Yeah,
they did
I
that.
was
But
lucky enough a couple years ago. Um, I was friends with the drummer of Every Time I Die, and he had me come out and like shoot them when they came to Portland at the Moda Center.
okay,
But it was Macedon and Cody and Cambria. Like, you
ooh,
can't dream that lineup.
I mean, I know I said I don't listen to that group I don't even. I've probably heard them on Warped Tour, maybe passing by.
Yeah.
But I mean, that does sound like a pretty sick lineup.
But I mean, one of my favorite tours still is like when Mice and Men did the Defy tour with Fire from the
Oh
Gods.
yeah, oh yeah. Is that
I
we
think,
must have met at a Mice and Men show? I'm sure, right?
yeah, I think that's where I like met you and like we started talking over the internet and stuff.
Damn, that fuck. When is that? I have my. They're all the way across the room. I can't see those laminates from here. But when was that? I can't even remember. Defy tour, Fire from the Gods. I wish I could see my. They're all the way over there.
I want to see say like 2019.
Okay. Um. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see it from here. I should probably move that. Damn. Yeah, that was a good tour. Those guys are sick too. I want them to put out new music. They need to fucking hurry up.
Well, they actually went the smart way and like did like 3 EPs and then made an album out of the 3 EPs.
Oh, they did? Maybe I just
Yeah.
haven't like seen it. I don't know. I did see that they are. I think he posted about it. I must have. Like a hot sauce. I saw them put out a hot sauce. It's pretty good.
Yeah. A lot of people during the pandemic, like music wise, like came up with a lot of different ideas, but I don't blame them.
I mean, yeah. One, I mean, besides sales and streams and all that stuff, merch. I mean, you're not playing shows, so you got to find some way to pull in any kind of money. So it's understandable.
I mean, so what I started doing like last year is I started collecting vinyl. So now I got
Oh,
like
cool.
$4,000 in a vinyl
Oh,
collection of
shit.
pretty much everything.
Damn. Well, here I have a question for you then. So I'm looking for. Okay, I'm not gonna have a $4,000 collection. Watch, watch. Now I'm gonna get into it. I'm gonna like have spend 4 grand and it's gonna be terrible. And anyways, I was looking. I would like to get some records. My dad used to be in a band a long time ago. Nothing crazy, but they had vinyl, and I have one of those. And there's certain records that I would like to get. Just daily listening, weekends kind of hanging out. Like, I don't need a crazy record player, but do you have one that you might like recommend, or the one you have or something?
Yeah. So let me look it up. Like I still have information about it.
Oh, cool. While you're doing that, I was Tino, a Mice and Men drummer. He is obsessed with vinyl. I mean, I think the last tour I was on, we went like 3 or 4 times, and I like filmed him like going to the record store and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's coming back.
For sure. Yeah, so the one that I bought was Projet T1 Bluetooth turntable.
Okay.
Um, it's just shy of like $500,
Oh, that looks cool. Very
but
slim.
it's definitely like a really good vinyl player. So you can hook it up to an amplifier, or you can hook it up to like Bluetooth speakers or
Interesting.
headphones,
That thing looks
and
sick.
you can listen directly with the Bluetooth, and then also have it come out of the amplifier.
Ooh. Yeah, that's really cool. That's sick. And Sonos is really good. They kill it with speakers and shit.
Yeah, so like technically you don't have to have like a big setup. Basically, my setup is I have a big desk, I have a curved monitor, have my laptop, all my stuff around it. Then I have a Pioneer like amplifier with JBL speakers.
Nice. Got quite the setup.
Yeah.
I'm
Uh,
definitely working on mine.
I
Slowly.
haven't really gotten into like Twitch streaming or like doing podcasts or anything like that, but it
Hmm.
never say never.
Right?
Maybe if one day it will happen.
I mean, yeah, you never know. I mean, if if say for example you go into like you try streaming or YouTube videos and you're not feeling it or whatever, hey, fucking try a podcast. And then if you don't like that, then just I don't know, sell the shit.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I will say though, I mean obviously I have the podcast, we're on it, duh. But I am trying to think of ways to, I don't know, YouTube. I don't know if it's gonna be Twitch, but I just feel like I wanna hit more online. Like, I wanna do a YouTube aside from the podcast. The podcast, the audio just goes straight up automatically to the YouTube channel, and I don't promote it or anything. It just goes there. But I'm thinking like a totally different entity aside from the podcast, and I just gotta figure out what it is. Like, dude, it could be from like reacting to new music to, I don't know, dude, trying new chips. Like, I don't know. Like every week a new bag of chips, trying it out. Like just something, see if it hits, have fun with it. But I gotta figure it out because I don't know.
I think it would be really cool, like, because I thought about doing a YouTube channel about like my process, like my
Yeah.
editing, like when I make those stupid videos. I mean, like I call them stupid, but it's just me being bored trying to create content.
Oh, dude, I do the same thing. I'm like, hey, look at this stupid thing I made. It's so dumb. Check it out.
Like, for instance, that Liquid Death video that I posted,
Yeah.
that took me 2 hours in Premiere just chopping it up.
Oh,
So
for
I
sure.
took bits and pieces from, what was it, Midnight Oil's video. And then I knew Comeback Kid did a cover of it, so it sounded more metal to do the Comeback Kid
Yeah.
audio. And then I spliced it together, and I took like the abstract pack from Tropic Color,
Oh yeah, I love that place.
and I put it in the background of like their green screen guy, Liquid Death guy. And like I just was bored 2 hours, and like I created like a minute like segment that I thought was genius, and like hopefully I get sponsored by Liquid Death.
Yeah, dude, it's sick. I mean, I've done basically the same thing. I don't know, I just had a fun idea. I got a can, like two of the cans, like the sparkling one, the black one, and the just the regular one, and I did some like weird setup where I grabbed like an actual like maybe a square foot of grass with dirt and like I just made like it fake rain and like lightning, and the lightning hit the bottle or the can, and it like crushed the can, and it flickered to back and forth. I don't know. But I spent like a few hours on, dude, I don't even know if it's 30 seconds long. Like it was just fun to sit down and create something for just doing stupid shit. Like
Yeah. But I mean, like, so I think it's awesome that like Tropic Color like basically has a trove of tools for creatives to do whatever they want with it.
mm-hmm. I love Tropic Color, dude. There's some stuff that I'm because they're coming out with a lot of new things, but like when they first came out, I have a few packs of their LUTs. So I definitely familiar with their brand, and I have some things that are probably in my cart right now that I'm definitely gonna purchase next time I get paid.
And well, so they're starting to tease something new. I'm gonna get it when it drops, but
Ooh.
like it's like animated like music video like titles.
I thought I've seen that already. Or unless are you talking about is there new shit?
So it's not titles, but it's like so you can put a video in it, and
Oh.
it's like a movie poster, and it's
Oh.
got all the fonts and everything.
Okay, I know what you're talking
So
about now. Okay, cool.
you could make something really cool out of it if you had like a video project. Like for instance, I went to New York City with my friend, and my website, A Day in the Life of People, I like to pretty much get the inside perspective on different areas of like people's stories, like a day in the life of a tattoo artist or like a rapper and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. So we actually went to New York City. It was a 48-hour trip, and we did a 5 segment YouTube series where it was 5 minute videos covering different things about his becoming a rapper in a local like community,
Oh, cool.
moving to New York, meeting people. We actually I interviewed his uncle, who was a grip on video music box on VH1. So he like, what was it? He Run DMC, Salt and Pepper, pretty
Damn,
much everybody in the 80s he like would shoot on camera and stuff. And he was just like a wealth of information. And like that was probably one of my favorite interviews I ever did with anybody.
that's awesome. Is that still up on YouTube and whatnot?
Yeah, the thing is, mainly I kind of like I I like using YouTube. I just haven't figured out how to like monetize it or like kind of like brand it in a way
Mm-hmm.
where I dump content on it.
Yeah, I think for, and I could be completely wrong. I feel like I heard this or read this a while ago. So if anyone out there is a YouTube expert, don't get pissed. But I I want to say I think you have to have like 1,000 subscribers before you can start monetizing, which sucks because I'm like I want to start YouTube. How long is it going to take for me to get 1,000 subscribers? What the fuck?
Yeah. But like with Instagram and like TikTok and like these other platforms, I feel like you can monetize content right away if you have a decent amount of content.
Yeah. I haven't I gotta look into that. I've noticed that recently there's the monetization for stories and also going live on TikTok, which is cool. I got to get better at TikTok for sure. I'm working on it,
So
but
basically what I do with TikTok is like I use their templates and then I take my concert photos and I make a kind of like a music video out of it. And
oh,
like
okay.
it's it's been working for me. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I mean, I could probably do skits on TikTok and stuff like that. The thing is, I don't want to be an influencer.
I mean, I don't want to do the skits either, but there's some times where I'll find one that I might want to do, but I don't know. I end up not really doing it. But I mean, so as far as wanting to, what's it called? Monetize YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. I mean, as you keep going with it, you're bound to pick up traction and stuff. So going off of what you were just saying of not wanting to be an influencer, I mean, of course, I feel like there's different sides of the coin. There could be your typical TikTok influencer, the one that just does the skits and that's all they do, and they live at that fucking mansion and all that bullshit. But there's the other side of the influencer where, say you're just doing the same exact thing, but you can monetize it now, but you have more of an impact and you have more people coming to you. I mean, is that side okay? Or just not at all? You just want to do your thing and
Well, so you're right about it. So like I don't have a problem with like I just want to be genuinely myself. I just don't want to be fake. So
fair
like
enough.
that's kind of where it puts a sour taste in my mouth when I see like the influencers have all this money just doing it for fame and making money. I mean, to some degree you want to make money, but like you also want to like be have influence on other people, have an impact in a way where like you're helping other people.
And, maintain who you actually are as a person.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, no, I understand that, and I definitely understand what you were saying. I just wanted to bring that up because I know there's the two sides of it. Because and I was like, well, I mean, I would love to be an influencer, but I don't want to be an influencer around the realm of me trying to like twerk on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, one
But
reason I can't twerk, so I'm already out of the running. But
but yeah, mainly like if I can like tell my story in a way that feels compelling and genuine, then also helping other people become better at what they do. That's kind of like my end goal with this whole thing.
okay, feel you on that. So, what's like the next move to get you to where you want to be or closer? I feel like in the realm of art as general, painting, photography, just art. It's never really ending. You're always learning new things unless you quit or whatever. But what's like the next step for you to kind of put you more on track with achieving where you want to be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, end of career? What's that kind of step looking like?
So I've been thinking about it for a while with like concert photography and for me to push myself. So there's a couple goals. I want to shoot festivals. I
Okay,
want to go on tour with a band, like do that for a while. Then am talking about a residency in Bend for the summer, doing like a bunch of shows
that'll be cool.
where it's actually a paid gig. I'm at a level where like professionally I can produce like quality content that is consistent.
Hmm.
So how I feel is like I want to get to the level where like I'm doing bigger shows. Maybe one day also traveling overseas and like maybe doing a stint in Europe or like Australia and kind of making it.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds I mean, I can't see why any of that wouldn't happen, especially, the touring. It seems like all the other stuff is already already about to
There.
happen.
Yeah.
So we just gotta get your ass on tour. Is there I mean, obviously you have the publication that you're working for, but is there any way that they can put you in touch with more people for a tour? Or like what are you trying to do? Or sorry, not what are you trying to do? How are you going about, you know, looking for a possible tour? Just kind of hitting up emails and stuff like that, or waiting for it?
Well, so one thing that like I'm starting to learn is how to network and how to talk to people. And like every time I talk to a band member or something, like I'm professional in the way that like I'm just friendly and I try to build a relationship. There's no like cookie cutter way of like getting into it. You just have to kind of like find your way, meet people, and like find the right people at the right time.
I I agree. I mean, it's funny when people ask me, because I've been touring for over 10 years, and I've people are like, how do like, how do you recommend me, getting my first tour or something like that? And I can give ideas on how you could go about it, but it's kind of more of like the traditional, like hit up the band directly, management, label, the things that are kind of self-explanatory because I didn't have like a okay, quote unquote like traditional way of getting into touring. I got lucky and I fell into it just randomly, because I was buddies with Alan for I don't know, we were kids playing hockey, met Austin and we were all hanging out, introduced them together and they were writing music and basically Austin rejoined of Mice and Men. He brought Alan with him, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go on our first tour. Do you want to come with?" I was like, "Sure." I was like
Yeah.
18, cool, let's go. So I didn't hit up anyone, no management, no nothing. I was just, I mean, I got lucky with who I knew, but I. It's funny because when people are like, "Hey, like, how do I get into this?" It's like I can only give you the advice that you've probably already heard. Be a good
Yeah.
person, have good, work, and just shoot your shot. You're not gonna, if you're applying for jobs, you're not gonna just apply to one and hope it hits, and then, wait 5 months and then, apply again. You're gonna keep knocking on doors weekly, monthly, obviously without being annoying, but you know, so
Also, like, here's something that I had to learn is don't get discouraged and learn to accept that you're gonna get a lot of no, but celebrate the yeses.
oh yeah. I mean, I think my dad's told me many, many times. He's like, you gotta send, you gotta get 100 no's before you get one yes.
Yeah,
And I mean,
and
it's very relevant.
that's so true. I mean, like, but you also have to be, you have to have drive, and you have to have ambition and put yourself out there. Like, I used to be like the shy kid who would never talk to anybody. And then, like, as I got older, I was like, you only live one life. You just have to go out there and put yourself in your, get out of your comfort zone. I mean, like, that's the best advice I could say to anybody is put yourself in that vulnerable place, because a lot of times you'll get where you want to be because you took that chance.
Oh yeah. I think, and I hopefully I'm saying this line correctly, but one line, and it's funny, I should be able to get it correctly because I'm about to say it's a favorite line of mine, but was it the comfort zone is a beautiful place to die? You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, so
get out of it, and then
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you just gotta, going off the, you only live once, of course. YOLO, hashtag YOLO. Cool. Uh, I mean, but why not? If you're trying to do something, you know, it's just keep getting the no's because eventually you'll get the yes. And at waiting that long and going through maybe a couple days, week, maybe even months of getting no's and feeling like shit. I mean, if you keep going and eventually you do get that yes, it's gonna be incredible. Versus the feeling of you 5, 10 end of life, you're like, I have extreme regret. So like, why just fucking just do it? Go for it.
Also, like, the thing I learned is like there are certain key metrics to success.
Hmm.
So, like, for instance, I went to Blue Ridge Rock Festival because before they became a really big thing in Virginia, like it was a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And I did this was like kind of in the beginning of like me starting to get more bands and shows and stuff like that. And I snuck my camera in
Nice.
because it's so compact and small. I kind of fibbed about like the lens and everything.
Oh, okay.
And like I got it through and I was like, okay, I'm not looking back. I'm not going to tell them that like the lens comes off or anything.
Okay.
And so Anti-Flag, I took pictures of them in Portland like a year before this festival. And so it's just knowing certain things at shows and how bands interact with the crowd. Well, for instance, I watched their set and I had my pancake lens. So it was like a 22 millimeter
hmm
macro lens. So I could get really up close and personal with the bands. Well, if that shot that I sent you that you're going to like feature was, there were 10 photographers on stage, and like I knew that Anti-Flag was going to come into the crowd with the drummer and the lead singer.
hmm
Well, so I'm the only one in the crowd of people right up close to his face, and I get the only shot nobody else got.
There you go.
Because I did that, they put me on their labels like Instagram as a feature
Oh,
and
cool.
also their Instagram as a feature. So those key metrics, that's how I know I'm a good photographer, when people notice you.
Yeah. And that's something that I think when you do get your, tours, because it'll happen. That's one thing that is definitely important, especially I mean, when you're doing photo and video, it definitely comes in handy. But when you're on tour for a month or however long, you know, the sets are the same and generally certain things happen the same every song and yada yada yada. But when you know that, that allows you on different days to get a different position, a different angle, different lens, settings, all these different things. And you can turn that one moment, capture it, 30 different times. If it's a 30-day tour, you can use that and just absolutely create and crazy stuff because everyone else that's there photographing them, they're only there for the day. So when you're on tour, you have the entire time to get all these different shots. And the fact that you were saying all of that just now definitely is going to help you out when you're on tour because you already kind of are aware of all of that.
And I've also known this like ever since I was a kid and stuff. Like I can read a room and kind of analyze and know what's going on around me. So I think that's what comes into play when like I'm shooting a show or something because I'm processing everything that I'm taking in. Then I make a choice decision to find that right moment.
Oh yeah. I'm stoked, man. I'm looking forward to seeing you on a tour, and hopefully it's very, very soon. And I just because we're almost a little over an hour, I try and keep these around that time. Uh,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, dude, I'm sure we can go longer, but sometimes 2-3 hours. I don't know. It's a bit long.
I understand. I mean, I think we had a pretty good
Oh
conversation.
yeah. And well, what I was gonna say is, I mean, this is definitely not the last time. So we'll definitely restart the pod up and we'll get you back on for another episode. But I just like to keep them around an hour or so. Sometimes they go longer, but if I can kind of cap them at a certain point, we're all good. But I just want to say thank you, man, for coming on the podcast and chatting with me. Definitely a very good conversation. I'm gonna have to listen back to it.
You're welcome, and like I always enjoy like our talks and everything, and we'll see each other in the near future.
Yeah, man, and just keep working hard. I see you posting all the time, and it's makes me miss it. I'll tell you that. But yeah, you're killing it, man. And for everyone listening, in the description, the show notes, I'll have all of his socials and site and all that stuff. So make sure to go check out his shit.
Okay.
Right on, man. Well, thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.
The Toddcast.